Tonight, police appeal for public assistance after a man is found shot to death in Miku. St. Lucia provides measles vaccines to a quarantined cruise ship.
A decision was made not to allow persons to disembark. This decision to quarantine the ship is in keeping with the health laws of St. Lucia.
And Corinth is out of the gate first for Carnival celebrations. The details of these stories and more are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Thursday, the 2nd of May, 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 Nightly News. We're on Flow, channel 117, also being simulcast on Kiss FM, on the website www.caribbeanhottv.com, and of course on our free Caribbean Hot FM mobile app. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. Police are seeking public assistance to uncover information surrounding the death of a Dominican national on local soil. Chris Eric Charles was a Dominican national residing at Ravin Chabot. He was discovered in an unresponsive state on Wednesday, the 1st of May. Police had ventured to the location after receiving a report of a shooting at Latil Miku. On arrival, responding officers noticed Charles's lifeless body with apparent gunshot injuries. He was subsequently pronounced dead by a medical practitioner. A post-mortem examination is scheduled for a subsequent date. Anyone with information regarding this incident is asked to contact the nearest police station or the Miku police station at 456-3670. The island's chief medical officer, Dr. Merlin Fredericks James, is sending a message to the masses, letting them know that there is no need to panic. The message comes in relation to the cruise ship Free Winds, which has been quarantined since Tuesday, the 30th of April, due to an outbreak of measles. Rochelle Gonzalez tells us more in this report.
A message coming from the Department of Health and Wellness within the Ministry of Health has been sent out to the masses on the heels of a possible threat of measles being brought to St. Lucian shores. The threat became real when a confirmed case of the disease was reported aboard the cruise ship Free Winds, which berthed at Port Castries on Tuesday, the 30th of April. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Merlin Fredericks James said her department worked assiduously to ensure that the infection was contained.
Given the highly infectious nature of measles, along with the possibility that other persons on board the vessel may have been in contact with and are now possibly infectious due to this disease, a decision was made not to allow persons to disembark. This decision to quarantine the ship is in keeping with the health laws of St. Lucia. Our epidemiological investigation aboard the ship has verified that the confirmed case, as well as other crew members, are presently stable but remain under surveillance by the ship's doctor.
Dr. Fredericks James said continued surveillance is necessary as the incubation period for measles ranges from 10 to 12 days before symptoms in exposed persons occur. She continued on to say that the Department of Health and Wellness, as well as other agencies, have continued to provide as much support to the ship as possible.
The ship's doctor requested 100 doses of the measles vaccine, and this is currently being provided from our supplies at no cost. St. Lucia's public health response is being coordinated with other local agencies and partners, and we remain in discussion with regional and international health agencies such as the Pan American Health Organization PAHO and the Caribbean Public Health Agency.
With that said, whilst Dr. Fredericks James may declare that the infection was contained on board the ship, she gave a stark warning to the masses, alerting them of the possible dangers lurking and looming.
We wish to remind persons that there are currently large measles outbreaks ongoing in other countries. Measles is spread through droplets from the nose or mouth of infected persons when they cough or sneeze, and sometimes even during speaking. Early symptoms include high fever, runny nose, red eyes, and tiny white spots on the inside of the mouth. A rash may then develop starting on the face and upper neck and then spreading throughout the body. Measles can be particularly severe in young children who are not immunized. Infection with measles can be prevented if persons are fully immunized against the disease. And we wish to remind all persons that the measles vaccine is available locally, it's available free of charge, and it is actually provided routinely during our routine immunization program for children.
The CMO said adults who are not immunized against the infection can do so at their nearest wellness center. The Freewinds cruise ship is scheduled to leave St. Lucia at midnight on Thursday. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Thank you, Rochelle. At a meeting of the Federal Cabinet on Saturday, the 27th of April, the decision was made for the government of St. Kitts and Nevis to provide emergency funding support of over $1 million to Liat, the Caribbean airline headquartered in Antigua and Barbuda. Coming out of a presentation to the Federal Cabinet, which was made by a 3-member delegation from Liat on the 11th of March, an advisory committee led by the Financial Secretary in the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, Hilary Hazel, was established to review Liat's proposals and make recommendations on the way forward. While St. Kitts is on board with the Liat rescue plan, St. Lucia's Prime Minister Alan Chasney is standing firm on the matter, reluctant to hand over any more cash to Liat.
St. Lucia's position is very, very clear. Is that if in fact that there are fundamental changes to Liat in terms of how it's governed, and certainly what its plans are and how its plans are going to be implemented, we would be willing to support a new engaged Liat.
That was Prime Minister Alan Chasney. The St. Lucia Fire Service Association is continuing to call out senior fire officers for alleged abuse of power. Shane Felix says the inaction of Ministries of Home Affairs and Public Service play a major role in the continuance of the liberties taken by high-ranking officials. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
The ever-outspoken chairman of the St. Lucia Fire Service Association is continuing on his campaign to advocate for action to be taken by the Ministries of Home Affairs and Public Service to put a stop to alleged abuse of power by the senior ranking officers within the department. Shane Felix spoke to members of the media on Thursday and highlighted an example of said abuse.
A letter that I have in my possession, which appears to have been written by the current Deputy Chief Fire Officer, requesting personal benefits for certain senior officers. The letter is written to the organizers of Fondo Jazz, asking for jazz passes for certain senior officers. And in that letter, he makes mention of the then Chief Fire Officer's secretary by name and presenting her as a gazetted officer or a senior officer, asking for a jazz pass on her behalf. Those are the kinds of things that occur in the department, unknown. And when there are certain things done by junior ranks, those ranks are made to pay the full brunt of the law. But when senior officers continue to do those very actions, there's no repercussions.
Felix said without intervention from the powers that be, senior officers will continue to abuse their authority.
Even with the British experts' report and a memorandum sent from the Ministry of the Public Service to Cabinet, it posted again the seriousness of how it is that certain persons were tested by the British experts to determine whether they were suited to serve in the capacity of chief and deputy, and that they performed very miserably through those various tests. Despite that, nothing being done on their behalf, no training or anything and preparing them for the positions, but simply appointing them despite the information that they were not suited to be in those positions. So those are the things that continue to happen, and those are the things that continue to allow the fire service to remain in the sort of low morale, lack of motivation, and for things to continue to happen.
Felix said as much as he's encouraged by the results of the recent industrial actions, where 2 committees were set up to look into the recommendations of the British experts, as well as the setting up of a promotions policy, he said something that is of critical importance is for there to be oversight on the actions of senior officers and how they manage the department generally. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
The rumor mill was buzzing following word that the former president of the Holiday Taxi Limited, Lucian Joseph, lost his seat on the executive. The newly elected Vice President, Robert Lewis, spoke with Hot 7 News on Thursday. He says through the secret ballot, the decision was made by the general membership to vote in a completely new board of directors. Lewis assures a new path will be charted to ensure all stakeholders enjoy an increased level of productivity and profits. Solange Alfred tells us more.
Every 2 years, the general membership of the Holiday Taxi Limited looks forward to electing a board of directors. However, in years past, the manner in which the election was carried out did not sit well with the membership, so says a newly elected Vice President Robert Lewis. He explains, execution of past elections demanded that the membership raise their hand to cast their vote, which he expresses as an outdated practice. He says the membership had called for a change, inciting the secret ballot approach used in this year's election process.
We've never had election by secret ballot. The past president insists that he wants election by show of hands. No, that's not what the bylaw states. So there's a concerned group who took him to court so as the court could enforce the secret ballot election. And so that was done, and we had elections on Saturday night, and the general membership voted as they please.
Lewis did not reveal whether the vote was a landslide decision. However, he did note that none of the previous directors were re-elected to the new board.
If I should say, the entire board, first board was voted out, was dissolved, and they were voted out. Yes, some of their names were still nominated, but they were not elected. It surely demonstrates the displeasure of the shareholders in the past, with not the board precise, but the past president, because this is what they've been advocating all the time. If you are the president of a company and the shareholders request certain things, you cannot deny them that. Especially, they have their rights for it. You cannot deny them that you don't want election by secret ballots. You can't do that. In this present era, no.
Moving forward, Lewis says the aim of the newly elected board is to raise the efficiency and earnings of the company to a point where all stakeholders are content.
And what we want to do is to, where the company is there now, it's not good. We want to work together so that we can move the company from where it is there now, at the basement, to bring it up to a level where every shareholder would be able to rejoice. That's what we want to do, And with God's help, I believe we'll do that.
As for the old executive, Lewis says he has had no interaction with the past directors. However, he says he is not opposed to dialogue inquiring the approach taken and outcome of key objectives not met. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Thank you, Solange. This is the Hot 7 Nightly News. Still to come, St. Lucia's lobster export potential is to be significantly stepped up as U.S.-based Toro Trading and Imports prepares to further build capacity among local fishers. District 7 gets set for its cultural extravaganza, and Solange Alfred takes us inside Corinth Carnival. That and more coming up after the break.